main thing I'm going to talk about today is why your horse is spooking in the first place. Because a lot of people will say to you, well, it's obvious, isn't it? Scared? Yeah, might be, but actually there are different reasons that horses spook. They have different, it has a different root cause, yeah? And so actually it's really important before you start to try and resolve that spookiness to understand which one your horse is, all right? And what is the reason that they're spooking, okay? Because once you understand that, then you start to get some key and some clues as to what is the cause. All right, so that's what's going to be that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. I'm also going to talk a little bit about some of the things that you get told about spooky horses that aren't necessarily going to help you out. So a lot of common things that people get told when they're trying to deal with a tricky horse or a spooky horse, and actually these things aren't necessarily helping, but they tend to sort of build up in your mind, and actually they can undermine you finding solutions and actually being able to resolve the problem. Okay, so you know, there's always going to be a little bit in each of these talks. There's going to be a bit about your horse. There's also going to be a bit about yourself, because I'm really keen on making sure that you've both got solutions so that you're both happy. It doesn't work when we're dealing with horses. You guys are a herd together, you and your horse, okay? And if you're not quite right, your horse is going to feel that. In the same way that if your horse isn't quite right, you know instantly, yeah? So nobody knows your horse as well as you do. You're the one that spends every day with them. So it's really important that actually you guys are both working together in sync, because actually that's where the magic happens. That's where things really start to work together in unison, when you're both okay. It's no good one of you gritting your teeth and going, we'll just try and live through it. You know, you've both got to feel good, all right? Whether you're the kind of person that struggles with your confidence or whether you're the kind of person that can get frustrated, doesn't matter. Point is, what we've got to do is get you to a place where you're feeling really good about what's going on with your horse, and also your horse is feeling good, because as I say, that's where the magic happens, all right? So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to see if we can get this going. All right. So today, so this is just to give you an overview of everything that's going on over the next couple of days. So today we're live and we're going to be looking at why your horse spooks. Tomorrow I'm going to be live again 7:30, and I'm going to be looking at what do you do about it. So now that we've got today, as I say, it's going to be really about why your horse is spooking, and tomorrow it's like, now that you've identified what it is that's causing your horse to spook, what's going on, what are the techniques, what are the things that are going to really help you to resolve that? What are the things that are going to be most effective to help your horse and to help you get past the spookiness and get your horse to be more confident and more connected with you? Because that's what we all want. And then on Thursday, I'm going to be live at a slightly different time. It's going to be 2:30 p.m. and I'm going to be looking at how to calm a tense horse quickly. This is some really powerful techniques that if your horse is not feeling okay, starting to get worried, starting to feel tense, you've got that horrible feeling like you're sitting on a ticking bomb, what do you do? How do you sort that out really quickly, get your horse back to calm, back to confidence, so that you can start to relax in the saddle as well? And then on Friday, same again, I'm going to be in on Friday at 2:30, and we're going to look at now making a plan, like how you can transform your horse from spooky to calm and connected. All right, and how, like, making a plan so that you've got all the tools, all the bits and pieces ready, so that you're ready and prepared for getting your horse there. All right. Cool. Hi, Karen. Hi, Lauren. Angela. Oh, Angela, lovely to see you again. Lisa, mine freezes, then spins. What do I do when he's stiff and as my adrenaline goes up? We are absolutely going to deal with that, Lisa. That is one of the things we're going to be covering for sure. All right. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Victoria. Nice to see you guys. Right, let's dive in. Okay, so there are 4 main reasons that horses spook. Okay, these are like the 4 core reasons that spooking happens. Okay, so what are they? Right, reason number one is pain. Okay, I'm not going to dwell on this one a long time, but I think it's really, really super important that we deal with it, because, and the reason that I make it reason number one is because actually this almost needs to be the first port of call when you've got behavior problems and when you've got things coming up with your horse. All right, so and also the reason that I really find it really important that we put this in here is because actually with spookiness, it's not always the first thing we think about. All right, when a horse is spooky, they might look sound. You might not have the normal kind of things that we think of that when a horse is in pain. You know, often we think, you know, we associate things like rearing and bucking more with pain. They might have pain in their back, something like that. And also, you know, if a horse is sound, often we don't think, you know, pain isn't the first place we go. But actually, it is really common that a horse can get spooky because they're actually either in pain or discomfort. Okay, so really important. Now, how do you identify that? How do you know? How do you know when your horse is in pain? How do you know when it's behavioural? The truth is, in most cases, I will always check out the pain side of things first. Like, is it a possibility? What's going on? Even if it's just having a chat with the vet and saying, look, you know, this is going on. What do you think? Do we need to assess the horse? But the other thing about the other way to really key to identify, and this would be a proper red flag for me to go, right, okay, let's really make sure that we haven't got a horse in pain, is if it's happened all of a sudden. So let's say, for example, you have a horse that's relatively unflappable most of the time, and then all of a sudden your horse starts to be a lot more spooky than normal. That would be something where I go, okay, we need to, let's rule out pain here, because often when behavior things come up, when they're really out of character for the horse, there's usually something underlying that. It's not normally that's a behavior problem, classic behavior problem. It's quite often that there's pain underlying that. So if, for example, you've got a horse that for the most part has been good, you know, last few months, few years, however long you've had them, and then all of a sudden you're starting to get spooky behavior and there doesn't seem to be like a clear reason for it. So for example, I help somebody that they know their horse gets a little bit more tricky in the winter, so that's something that they know that's really in character for that horse. So I wouldn't necessarily go down the pain road for a horse like that. But if all of a sudden he got really spooky in the summer, you know, we'd be starting to go, oh, hang on a minute, this is out of character. Like, we can't, there's not an obvious reason why this horse is getting like this. So that would be where I'd start to go, okay, probably we need to start getting the vet involved here and like work out what's going on. All right, so always, if something, you know, again, and not just spookiness, anything that happens, if it's really out of character for your horse, I would 100% encourage you to have it really look down the pain route first, okay, and really make sure that there's not an underlying reason, because it's really hard. Like, horses can't talk, you know, I wish they could sometimes, but you know, they can't tell us what's wrong. They only have the way either the way they move, so obvious soundness issue or something like that, or behavior is the only way they can tell us that something hurts. Okay, so sometimes, and the last thing you want is your horse to have been trying to communicate with you and you've missed it. All right, and then all of a sudden you try and train it and actually you realize that the horse was in pain in the first place. So absolutely, if there's any doubt in your mind that it might be a pain issue, go down that road first and satisfy yourself 100% that that's not the problem. From there, you can then start to go, okay, well, then maybe we can go down one of the other roads. All right, so reason number one, pain. I won't talk about that too much more, but I really think it's important that we recognize that that's a possibility if a horse is spooky, out of character. All right, reason number two, a horse that is scared of things. All right, so this is your classic spooky horse. All right, this is the horse that is, you know, they're often described as scared of their own shadow. And when they're scared of things, they're scared of stuff. So this is the horse that, you know, if you go out hacking, for example, on bin day, your horse is you're gonna have a problem. If somebody's moved something in the arena, or there's something new in the arena, you know, you're gonna have a problem. If something has changed on the yard, or there's a new gate on the field or something like that, something different, this is the horse that's going to spook at that. All right, this horse is actually, as I say, it's kind of your classic spooky horse because it's quite predictable in the sense, you know, if there's something new, your horse is going to be worried about it. Let's say, for example, you've gone out hacking and it starts raining and everyone's got their umbrellas up. That might be another thing. Okay, you're in the arena, you go to a new arena and there's banners there, or there's different coloured flowers around the arena, or there's a jump with eyes on it. Those would all be things where a horse that's scared of things would, you already know you're going to have a problem. Okay, they're quite predictably spooky. Okay, so that's your horse that's scared of things. And as I say, it's what we think about when we think of the classic spooky horse. All right, now this horse, the challenge with this horse is, of course, not to make your world get smaller and smaller and smaller, because what happens a lot with this horse is, you know, that anything different or new or whatever, this is the horse that you make sure everything's quiet around the arena when you go in. Yeah, you make sure that Mary that's got the squeaky wheelbarrow isn't on the yard then. All right, and your world, as I say, your world ends up getting smaller and smaller and smaller because, you know, as there's more and more things that your horse doesn't like, you try and avoid all of those things. Yeah, so you don't go out on bin day, you don't go out in the wind, you don't go out when it's raining, you definitely don't go out when you know, when, as I say, Mary's on the yard with her squeaky wheelbarrow, or they've gone and put some jumps out. You don't go out when they've moved some poles around. Do you see what I mean? So your world, as I say, you end up being a bit of an avoidaholic. So you're trying to avoid every possible thing that might spook your horse. And slowly, slowly, the world gets smaller and smaller and smaller as the things that you can cope with. All right, so that's your classic scared of things horse. This is reason number 2. And as I say, these are the ones that you describe as like scared of their own shadow, like anything new is going to bother them. Okay. Reason number 3 is this one I like to call your psycho bunny. So this is the horse that's tense and on adrenaline. Okay, so so if you've got a horse that you think is number 2, pop a 2 in the comments if you think you've got a horse that's scared of things. Reason number 3, like I say, this is your psycho bunny. This is the horse that's tense and on adrenaline. Okay, so this is the horse that is often, this isn't so predictable, this horse. Yeah, this is the horse that actually might go past the tricky things a few times and be absolutely fine, and then all of a sudden he's not okay, and you're like, hang on a minute, we passed those bins, or we passed that spooky jump 3 or 4 times and you were absolutely fine, and now all of a sudden it's not okay anymore. Why does that happen? This is because the tension and the adrenaline has built up in the horse. Yeah, so like I said, they're often called the psycho bunny, but this one has a range. All right, so it can go from just a little bit tense to this one's the one that does the wall of death in the arena. Okay, and as I say, this one's less predictable. So actually, if you've got them on a calm day where things are, you know, kind of chilled and everything's okay, that horse might not spook at anything. You might have a real easy ride. You might have a few of those, but then what happens is if the adrenaline starts to come up, all of a sudden now, like I say, something that was absolutely fine now isn't. Okay, and as I say, they're a lot less predictable than number 2 horse. Yeah, number 2 horse is pretty predictable about what they're going to spook at. Okay, so whereas number 3 horse, it might not be. As I say, you might have days and days and days, weeks and weeks when it's all fine. Yeah, and then all of a sudden the adrenaline comes up and now your horse is a spooky mess. All right, and you're starting to go, oh my goodness, this feels really unsafe. You start to ride more defensively. This is really the one that feels like they can be like a ticking bomb. All right, and as I say, it's very hard, you know, these ones are really disconcerting to ride, because whereas with the number 2 horse, you sort of know when you're going to be in trouble and when you're not. With this one, you don't know. So you might be all right, and then all of a sudden you're not, and you're like, where the heck did that come from? Okay, so this one's a little bit more tricky, okay, in that sense. Okay, and so that's where you need to have strategies to be able to work through that adrenaline, to start to bring that adrenaline down. And that's often the place. So if you're a scared person, what's going to happen once you start to feel that adrenaline come up, you start to feel that that tension, you're going to start to lose confidence. You're going to start to get a little bit worried, start to ride a bit more defensively, and often when we get worried, we also get quiet, okay? And so we actually don't help our horses as much as maybe we need to, because we're already starting to get into our own defensive mode. We're getting worried as well. If you're not somebody that loses confidence, but you're somebody that gets frustrated, this might also be where your frustration starts to come up, because you're like, hang on a minute, we've been past these things 2 or 3 times and you were fine. And now all of a sudden we're not. What's going on? Okay. So that can also happen as well. So again, it's like actually dealing with that, and having a plan to deal with that adrenaline and actually start to get it dissipated, start to get your horse back to calm, back to relaxed quickly, is what's going to really help you in that situation. It will stop you getting more. If you're somebody that gets frustrated, you'll often be a little bit too quick. You might be a little bit too firm with your horse, and that can cause its own problems. Or you might be somebody who, as I say, gets worried, and then you might end up being too quiet. All right. Either one of those isn't going to work for this horse. This horse needs help in getting back to calm quickly. All right. So that's kind of like, those are the things that we've got to deal with. All right, let's have a look in the comments and let's see what you guys have said. Lorraine's got number 2, Karen 2 and 3. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Lorraine 3, 2. Yeah. Hi, Annika. Karen, that's me. Yeah. So it's interesting, isn't it? Once you start to realize these things are going on and you can start to identify it. And a lot of fear and frustration comes from not having a plan. Okay, not knowing what to do in those situations to effectively get rid of that adrenaline. And if this is you, on Thursday, I'm going to be talking about how to get a tense horse calm quickly. So we're going to be talking about different exercises we can do to help that. So that's a really, definitely be there for day 3. Either if you can't be there live, don't worry, just pop it on to come on to replay. Okay, reason number 4. So if you've got number 3 horse, pop us number 3 in the comments. Reason number 4, I love these guys. These are your distracted horses that I like to call your naughty spookers. So these are the ones that actually don't come across scared so much. All right. These are the ones that often people get a little bit more frustrated with. And what you'll often hear somebody say about this horse is you'll hear them say, he's looking for something to spook at. All right. Because this horse is distracted. Yeah, they're often actually quite confident, clever horses. They're often quite fast thinking horses as well. And actually what happens is they're doing a bit of sightseeing as they're going around the arena. And then what happens is they see something and they're like, oh my goodness. And then they spook. All right. Now, are they scared once they see it? Yeah, often they are. All right. So it's not that they're not scared, but they don't come across as scared when you're riding them. They come across as I say, being a bit of a tourist and sightseeing. Yeah. They tend to be really easily distracted by the environment, start to see things. And then what happens is once they get distracted, once they see something that scares them, they'll often then dip into a number 3 horse. And actually then they can get tense and on adrenaline and the whole thing spirals like so on. All right. But generally speaking, these guys are a little bit more confident, playful types of horses. All right. Which again, if you're somebody that gets frustrated, you can find that quite frustrating, because it's almost like it does almost feel like they're looking for something to spook at. They're not. Horses don't think like that. But what they are doing is starting to, get the environment's taking over, if you like. These horses are often you'll often find these horses are actually better out on a hack, or they're better at a competition than they are at home. Often these horses are the ones that people really struggle with at home. I was speaking to a lady a few weeks ago that was saying her horse is brilliant at competition, but so hard to prepare for the competition. And she feels like she's really struggling to get up the levels because actually he's so difficult to work with in the arena at home. absolutely fine at competition. She said it's great. But at home, to actually get her practice in, to get herself up to the next level, she's really struggling because he's so distracted at home. And again, you'll find the same thing if you're somebody that likes hacking. You'll find that actually this horse will probably be better on a hack or on a fun ride because there's lots to occupy them. And so they don't get distracted in the same way. They actually are, you know, they get interested by the environment. You know, there's so much going on that it actually occupies their brains. So if you've got one like that that's actually more tricky at home, you may well have a number 4 horse that's a distracted, as I say, I like to call them the naughty spookers. So, and I mean, the little Arabian here is a classic example of it. This little guy, this was on a Spooky Horses clinic I did quite a while back. And, you know, just completely looking in the opposite direction. Believe it or not, I've got a rope on him and he's actually on the lunge line. But he's like, what's that over there? You know, miles away. So, and that's really typical. Like I say, they're so interested in life and in the environment that actually that takes over. Okay, so and so these horses, as I say, that's what happens with those guys. All right, and they can be frustrating. They can also get you worried as well. Same kind of thing. But often, as I say, I think people tend to get more frustrated with these ones because they don't come across as scared like the other 2 types do. The other 2 types, as I say, they come across as quite classically scared. All right, cool. So now, if you've got number 4 horse, pop the number 4 down in the comments. So here's the thing. Some of you have already started to say it. It's very possible that you might have a combination. All right. So you may not just have one reason, you may have a couple of things going on. So if you've said 2 and 3 or 3 and 4, that's not a massive surprise because often you will have more than one type going on. Okay. So, and that is, you know, it's really important because actually the power of, you know, kind of classifying things and putting these things is not so much to say, right, my horse is in this box and these are the solutions for this horse. What's the power of this is to actually recognize, oh, there might be different reasons and what are the appropriate things for me to do, because how you deal with a distracted horse is going to be very different from how you deal with a tense and non-adrenaline horse. Sometimes almost opposite techniques. Sometimes you can use similar techniques. Okay. How you deal with a horse that's scared of things, the things that are going to make the difference for that horse are going to be different from what you do with a distracted horse. Do you see what I mean? So actually, but you may have a horse that's mostly distracted, but has 1 or 2 things that they're scared of. All right. So you may have a distracted horse, but actually, you know, for example, umbrellas are a big deal for them, let's say, or sudden noises, let's say. Okay, so you might have combinations of things going on there. So it's really important to recognize that. And as I say, a couple of you have already said, yeah, actually I've got 2 and 3, or I've got 3 and 4 going on there. So that's really, really common. Okay, so yeah, don't worry about that. The point is to know, okay, if I've got, how do I deal with my distracted horse? Often with distracted horses particularly as well, they will go from 4 to 3 quite easily. They'll get distracted and then all of a sudden now everything's scary and now they're tense and on adrenaline and it can kind of spiral. So you might find often if you deal with it at the number when they're in the distracted place and get their focus, then actually you find that you don't get to number 3. Okay, same with the scared of things horse, number 2 horse. Yeah, he might be scared of things and then he gets tense and on adrenaline. Yeah, so and then once he gets tense and on adrenaline, you've got to deal with that. All right, whereas again, if you could help him start to be more confident about the things, you might not get to tense and on adrenaline. All right, or you might have classically tense and on adrenaline, in which case then you've got that to deal with. All right, if you've got one that just fits into one category, celebrate, because you only need to learn one set of techniques. Excellent. All right, so cool. Let's have a look what we've got here. So yeah, Karen said 2 and 3. Angela said number 3. Yeah. Lydia 2 and 3, depends on the temperature. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Kath was 1 for years, now about to start hacking again. Don't know what I have now. Cool. Susan 2 and 3. Hi Julie, good to see you. Amanda, I think it might be 3 and 4. Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah, just keep, as I say, keep watching, because over the next day or so, you'll start to see it here more. I'll talk to you about the different strategies. And some of you will have already had things that you know work. So actually, if you start to see those strategies fit into that box, then you're like, oh, okay, so that was when my horse was like that. Okay. Kath, I can relate to 4. Very good. All right. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about now. What I wanted to talk a little bit about is some of the classic lies you get told about spooky horses. All right. And I think this is really important to talk about, because line number 1 that gets told all of the time is just ride through it. Okay. Just ride through it. Just keep going. Just keep riding, try and ignore the thing that's terrifying your horse, and it'll all get better. All right. Now that can, sometimes it will, sometimes things will be, you carry on and things will get better. But the problem is, if you haven't identified the cause as to why your horse is spooking, have you resolved it for the future? Probably not. You may well end up also with some underlying tension in there. And equally as well, if you're struggling, so if you're a rider that struggles with your confidence, for example, and you're being told just to ride through it, well, that's great. But if you're not feeling safe up there, that's not really going to help anything. Okay. Same as if you're somebody that's if you're trying to ride through it and you're starting to get frustrated, that's also going to add tension to the situation. So are you going to really resolve that? And the point is, you might make it through that ride, but are you now setting yourself up for the next time that you ride, it's going to get better, and the next time you ride, it's going to get better? Probably not, if you're just trying to, live through it. Okay. And then one of two things happens. Your world gets smaller and smaller and smaller, or you enjoy it less and less and less. And the whole point about this, and this is where, as I was saying, where the magic happens, is if you can start to get into this spiral of things improving and things getting better, and you getting calmer, and you and your horse getting more confident and more connected together, that's where the magic happens. And that's what we're aiming for. All right. Not to just grit your teeth and live through it. Okay, gritting your teeth and living through it is not what I call fun when this is your leisure time. I said it yesterday, and I think it's really important to remember this. For me, this is what, I work with horses. So, to a certain extent, it is my job to get on, to ride different horses and that sort of stuff. But for most of you guys, this is your hobby. This is your leisure time. This is what you do to let down from work. So it's got to be enjoyable. And it really should be enjoyable. That's so important. So, and if you or your horse or both are not enjoying it, then actually something needs to change there. Yeah, because that's not what, when you buy a horse, you don't buy it to kind of grit your teeth and hope that you live. All right. You buy a horse hoping that you guys are going to have amazing days out and go hacking together and enjoy the scenery and go to competitions or whatever it is you love to do. Yeah. And be smiling, happy, and enjoy it. All right. So just ride through it. Doesn't really cut it if you're going to really resolve something. Okay. As I say, you may live through it and you may think, oh, good, I rode, I got there. But actually, are you setting things up to really have things resolved in the future? Possibly not. All right. Line number 2, which kind of follows on from line number 1, is it'll just get better if you keep doing it. If you keep riding in that spooky arena, if you keep riding into the spooky corner, if you keep going to that place, if you keep doing the hack out with people, if you keep riding on bin day, whatever the heck it is, if you keep going on that trail, if you keep, I could keep going and going and going, can't I? It'll get better if you just keep doing it. It might, yeah. And often that's, it might if you set it up right. It might if your horse finishes calm at the end of it. It might if you both finish in a good place. But equally, it might not. Okay. And it's actually so much about what you are doing that will enable it to get better if you keep doing it. But if you just keep gritting your teeth, bearing it, going to the next competition and still finishing, you both tense and on adrenaline by the end of it, and you're both in number 3. You know, or whatever that is, you know, or if you've both kind of gritted your teeth and managed to cling on for the fun ride, or whatever it was, actually, is that going to get better? No, it's not. All right. So you know, it's that really annoying personal development phrase: if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got, isn't it? You know, yeah. And what's the definition of insanity? Saying the same quote over and over and over again, you know. But it is, it's like, actually, if you keep it doesn't get better. All right. So it does get better if you apply the right techniques that actually get you and your horse more confident and connected together. All right. And this one is my personal little rant that you'll hear me talk about a lot. Don't get off, he will win. Oh my goodness, how many of you have heard that? Please drop a 5 into the comments if you have heard that before. All right. If you have been told don't get off because your horse is going to win some competition, all right, it's absolute utter rubbish. Yeah. Now, before I go on, there may be situations where it's safer to stay on your horse. Yeah, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is are you going to do your horse some great damage and he's going to win something and you're going to cause all sorts of problems if you get off in a tricky, dangerous, spooky situation? Absolutely not. No, you won't. Okay. If you get off and go and feed your horse lots of carrots, and you do that every day for the next month, you might teach him something that you don't want him to know. But to be honest with you, in a lot of cases, you know, when things are getting tricky, things are getting difficult, actually, in a lot of cases, you'll be much safer and to get your feet back on the ground and deal with it on the ground. Okay, and build your horse's confidence. All right. And actually, you will not teach your horse, even if you don't get back on again, you will not, as long as you get the situation back to calm, you will not teach your horse anything bad. All right. Your horse does not care whether you build his confidence on the ground or on his back. Okay. He really doesn't. What your horse cares about is his safety first. Okay. Horses are designed by nature to be scared. Yeah, they're prey animals. Their primary means of escape is flight. Okay, their primary means of escape is to run away from danger. Okay, that's all they're thinking about when they get scared. All right, so it's not you know, as long as you can help them feel safe again, then you will not teach them anything bad, and it doesn't matter whether that's on the ground or whether that's ridden. Okay, so you probably will hear me rant again about that this week because, you know, and listen, I was told it too, and funnily enough, it sticks. Yeah, this the part of the reason I rant about this one is because I don't know why, but it seems to stick in our minds more than the other ones. All right, and somehow we stay on board because we've ingrained into our brains that it's a bad thing to get off, and we stay on board way longer than we should in situations where we shouldn't. All right, and like I say, I'm not saying there aren't situations where it's safer to stay on your horse. There definitely are. Okay, that's not what I'm saying, but what I am saying is, if you're starting to think, do you know what, I'm not going to be able to ride through this, I am not going to be able to, you know, things are getting a bit tricky and it's safe to get off, you won't teach your horse anything bad by doing it. All right, and that is really important to remember. So if anybody needs it, this is your permission to get off your horse if you need to. All right, now if things get back calm again and you get things sorted and it's safe to do so, of course you can get back on. All right, but don't feel like you have to if things aren't okay for you. You don't have to. The main thing is, now I had a client, and I love this story. I had a client a few years back who she had, I won't go into all the detail of her journey, but she started, when I first met her, she was absolutely terrified to get on a horse, and she actually stood on the mountain block just crying. And it took us about 6 months to build her confidence up to be able to get on a horse in a really safe enclosed environment and ride a little bit and then get off again. Okay, and we built that up and built that up and built that up over time, and then she carried on building you know, slowly. All right. And she did an amazing job, and she got to the point where she was hacking out, and a couple of times, and yeah, she also had, you know, had been told she's really built up her ground skills, so she knew that she could handle her horse and she could really help her horse build its confidence in different situations from the ground. So she started, you know, if things got tricky out on a hack, she would get off. All right. And you know, few of her friends when she was hacking out were like, oh, you know, won't you teach her something bad by doing that? And actually I loved her answer, and this is why I'm telling you this story. Her answer was, she said, no, I won't teach my horse anything bad. I'm going to teach my horse that I will get us both home safely. And I thought, what a brilliant answer. All right. So building a horse, you know, getting a horse calm again and actually helping them feel safe, that's what you're going to teach your horse if you get off. All right. So as I say, for anyone who needs to hear it, this is my permission for you to get off if you need to. Okay, rant over. So let's have a look. We've got, I think it might be 3 and 4. Mandy, hi Mandy, 2 and 3. Karen, number 5. Mandy, lie number 3 also drives me insane. Yes, I know. It's crazy, isn't it? So, all right. So what's the result? So what's the result of all of these lies? I've kind of talked about that as we go along, but I think the thing is, if you are, and I tend to put riders into 2 categories. So if you're somebody who feels fear, I think what can happen is it starts to undermine your confidence even more, because not only are you worried about what could be a dangerous situation, and let's not beat around the bush, a horse that is spooky, unpredictable, not connected with you, so your control is slightly limited, that is dangerous. Okay, you know, to a greater or lesser extent depending on the extremity of the situation. So of course your brain is saying, be worried about this. Your brain is designed to keep you safe, it's not designed to keep you happy. All right. So your brain, if your brain thinks that your survival is under threat, your brain will do something about that, and it will put fear there. Okay. So of course you can do all sorts of things. You know, you can go on courses to build your confidence, and you can use different techniques. You can use, you know, there's all sorts of, you know, there's loads of rider confidence courses and things like that out there. But these will not work if you are putting yourself in a dangerous situation and your brain knows it. Yeah. If your horse is still lacking confidence and your horse is still spooky and still unpredictable, you can do a lot of different confidence techniques, but actually they won't work because your brain is still saying, this is not safe. Yeah. No matter how many times you try and convince your brain it is, if things don't feel good, they don't feel good. All right. Equally, if you're somebody that gets frustrated and you're not having a plan and you're not able to see, you know, you're not able to find out, you know, you're not able to deal with the cause of the problem. So the problem just keeps happening, and, you know, you haven't got a great way of dealing with it. You're just going to get more and more and more frustrated. Okay. I know this one intimately, you know, and the more frustrated you get, the more quick-tempered you can start to get with your horse, and that can lead into starting to feel really bad when you get off, you know, and all sorts of things going on, and starting to feel like, actually, you know, I really didn't enjoy that. And as I say, you get more frustrated with your horse, and that's where you start to think about, you know, different horses and all of that sort of stuff, rather than actually dealing with the cause of the problem. Okay. Both situations, whether you're somebody that lacks confidence or whether you're somebody that gets frustrated, it doesn't matter. Both, the solution is the same. You need a plan. Yeah. You need a plan to get things better. Yeah. You need a plan that helps your horse feel safe. You need a plan that actually builds, you know, that you can see actually working. Because if you're somebody that gets frustrated, but you start to put in techniques that actually get your horse, get your horse back, well, then you're not frustrated anymore. You're like, whoa, hey, this works. Great, excellent. Let's crack on. Yeah. If you're somebody that feels fear, but you can also see your horse starting to get more confident, starting to get more connected, of course, the fear starts to dissipate. All right. And then that's when those confidence techniques really come into play. Yeah. But actually, as I say, if it's all going wrong with the horse, it's not going to work. All right. So let's see. So guys, if you've got any questions, I'm seeing all your comments here. Susan, very frustrated. Oh, let's see if we can get that sorted out for you. But if you've got any questions, guys, now's the time to pop them in the comments. And equally, if you don't have questions now, but something comes up later, pop it in the comments. Let's see it. I'll be popping in the group through the evening and tomorrow to answer any questions that you've got. So, but what I'm going to leave you with is the workbook exercise. So, which spooky type do you think best fits your horse? All right, have a look. Some of you have been writing that down. Some of you have been going like, I think it's a 2 and a 3. I think it's a 3 and a 4. I think I've got a 2. All of those things. Good. Glad to see nobody's sort of thinking that they've got a horse in pain. So that's great. Okay. And then what are the lies you've believed or been told about your spooky horse, and what has been the result of believing those? Let's start to sort of think about that and start to go, okay, where are we coming from now? Because as I say, what I want to do on Friday is to really get you guys making a plan for, okay, this is where we've been, where are we going to get to? All right, so let's start to think about also, what is it what's been the result of believing those lies, but also where are you going? Where do you want to go? Like, what are the things you want to resolve? What are the things you want to change? All right, from here on. Okay, cool. All right, let's have a look. I'm going to come back to you guys in live Technicolor. Woohoo, here I am. Any questions about any of that? If you've got any questions, now's the time to pop them in. If you haven't, that's absolutely fine. Like I said, I'd love to see you guys introduce yourselves, introduce your horses in the group, and let's meet up again. All right, fabulous, cool. All right, so I hope that's really been useful. If you're here on replay, drop a hashtag replay in the comments. And I hope that's been useful for you. Have a look through your workbooks. Tomorrow, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going through those spooky types. I'm really starting to go, okay, now that we've started to identify which horse we've got, then we start to go, right, okay, what are we going to do about it? Like, what are the techniques? What are the things that are going to really help you resolve that? What are the things that are going to help you resolve that with your horse and really get to the core of it, so that your horse does consistently get more confident, consistently get more connected with you? All right, so that's what I'm going to be working on tomorrow. That's what we're going to be dealing, that's what we're going to be doing. I will be back in the group at 7:30 tomorrow evening. Back in the group 7:30 tomorrow evening. And in the meantime, any questions, any comments, pop them in the group. Take care, guys. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. Thanks, Amanda. Thanks, everybody. You guys take care, and I will see you tomorrow.